to F1. It's now time for the important stuff. Time for qualifying here at the Malaysia Grand Prix. Last year we saw a wonderful race here in Malaysia, and I'm expecting another fascinating weekend to come here in Kuala Lumpur.
Well, there are at least 3 or 4 other drivers that could be strong contenders for a front row start tomorrow, so it's difficult to predict who will come out on top, but it's certainly going to be an exciting qualifying session today.
How's it going, guys, and welcome back to the second round of our Perez career mode on F1 2015. Last time out, it didn't go too well. We won't forget about that. We're going to move on now towards Malaysia, and a track that I despise on this game or any other game. It's the one that I struggle with the most. We're currently in P9 at the minute, and with a okay lap of a 39.1. It has got a bit overcast here, so it may play a role with the conditions on track. As you see, we've just gone a bit too wide at turn 1 there, but we correct it nicely. But we take too much curb into 2, pushing us a tad wide there and losing the back end slightly. But we get straight back on the gas now. As we're coming up to the end of the first sector, Hamilton has a 24.1, sorry, and we're just 2 tenths behind him, but we are up on our PB already in the first sector by 1/100th of a second up there. So coming to this middle sector, which is really the weakest section for us, as the setup we ran was mainly more for straight line speed than downforce. So you all see some later in the race there. Also apologise as well for the bottom right of the screen seeing some Steam people, as there's some subscribers were messaging me and all that, so it was quite nice to get any of them. But distracting at the same time, so I will hopefully get rid of that for the next round at Bahrain or China. I think it's China actually. So in the middle sector there, we're only 2.5 tenths off Hamilton now in the middle sector. So I was feeling pretty confident here going into the last sector, but it is a very tricky last sector, this one, including this double right-hander coming up right about now, which I always get wrong here. Just brakes a bit too early. Maybe shifted a bit down second gear too much and should have stayed in third. But onto the back straight now, where the DRS is implemented for the first part, with the second one being at the end of the final corner. As we break into the final corner now, maybe pushed out a bit too wide there, but we correct it nicely, but having too much steering up there slows us down with a bad exit, and we cross the finish line to get a 1:38.5, being the second off pole. But without further ado, we're going to head now onto the track.
Good afternoon and welcome from Sepang, where the cars and drivers are getting ready to start the Malaysia Grand Prix. We knew this was a track that suited the Mercedes well, but no one would have expected that Lewis Hamilton would have created such a gap to his rivals in qualifying. If he stays out of trouble and the car continues to perform, well, victory should surely be a formality.
He's definitely going to be difficult to beat today, but anything can happen, so we'll have to keep a close eye on how this unfolds over the course of the race.
What a race it was for Sebastian Vettel last time out. The German was back to his best and put in an almost flawless performance.
Well, after winning those 4 world titles back-to-back, Seb certainly struggled to adapt to the new hybrid V6 era. True to the saying, form is temporary and class is permanent, he's back to winning Grand Prix and showing just what a great talent he is.
So we're all set then for the second round of the championship. It is a free stop strategy again as last time out in Australia with the weather, but it is bone dry today, so it is definitely a free stop strategy, so I may mix it up with the option and prime stints. We'll have to wait and see how it goes as we're waiting to go. We're in 8th on the grid as the revs building. The second round of the Perez career mode is away we go, and it is another average stop from us there, losing the back end there but keeping it straight and not crashing into anyone. We lose a place to Kvyat and also Romain Grosjean as well, so we're going to try and go down the inside of both him and Kvyat, and we're going down Ricciardo as well, maybe on Bottas as well around his outside into the turn 2 section here, and we put it off brilliantly around the outside on Bottas to move up to 6th place. Massa and Raikkonen side by side. Massa goes a bit wider and slows down, forcing Raikkonen and Vettel to back off as well. We go past Vettel down the outside, and now we go down the inside of both Raikkonen and Massa, up into the podium positions already in the space of 4 corners. It's a great start for us here, and Sergio Perez is in the podium positions at the minute as the 2 Mercedes of Hamilton and Rosberg pull away from us already, showing that their dominant era is still going on even on this game as it is to real life. Rosberg goes a bit wide there, so we're getting a bit of time in through his double right-hander as we slowly build a gap behind, but the setup we are running is quite an aggressive set, so I have to be very careful, especially on the rear tyres, that we don't degrade them quickly and force us into a 4-stop strategy, which we do not want to do around here. And actually can lose up to 20 to 30 seconds on another pit stop, so we do not want that. especially with a 28 lap race on there. So you can see we're coming to this very difficult corner now, which I absolutely hate on this game. It is one of the corners I cannot get right at all, which loses a couple of attempts there to Rosberg, as Hamilton, as you can see, is already putting a gap to Rosberg to around about a second and a half, and behind it is around about the same as well, as we have come to end the first lap of the Malaysian Grand Prix, with Hamilton leading from Rosberg in second and us in third, with Massa leading a humongous train behind him in fourth, with us being around about 2.5 seconds to Hamilton on at the end of the first lap. But we're moving on to the next lap, as Hamilton again sets a 40.6, as we set a 41.7, as we're being very cautious with fuel at the minute, so our gap is around about 3, so we lost a second to Hamilton on that last lap. But I'm not really worried at this stage, because we are running a very different strategy to Hamilton and Rosberg. My aim at for this race was to gain some points after quite a dismal start with that very poor performance in Australia on there. But luckily the weather is fine at the minute. As you can see on lap 4, Hamilton dives into the pit lane already for his first pit stop. So he might have run the same tyre, quite a lot of the tyres during qualifying, so it's forced him to pit early, as we now set a new PB of a 41.6 with Rosberg 2.5 seconds up the road, with quite a few people running into the pit lane there, as I think Vettel was in as well, which means Raikkonen moves up to third place, or maintains his position now. I'm not too sure what happened behind them, but as you can see we lost the back end there, so I'm starting to think maybe it's time to pit very soon, as Rosberg there still out on track leading the race, and the gap is relatively the same, as Rosberg will dive into the pit lane. I decided to maybe take the gamble and try and stay out, and maybe think of a one-stop strategy looking at the tyres. Throughout this part of the race they felt okay, as we again set a new PB there of a 41.6, as we will take the lead of the Grand Prix quite comfortably actually, with Raikkonen in the pits as well, as Ricciardo now moves up to second, and Rosberg maintaining third place there it seems, with no one else coming, as Max Verstappen overtakes him and moves up to third place as well. Moving on to lap 8, and as you can see, I'm still leading the race with Ricciardo in the pit lane, so Hamilton moves up to third, and Fernando Alonso, surprisingly the only man on the prime tyre, is still out on track with myself. So that was quite interesting to see how long the tyres can last on the primes. As you can see, looking at the tyres, the rears are very orange and they are starting to go down completely. I was not expecting to do 8 laps on a set of option tyres that I've ran through qualifying. So I was pretty optimistic there, as you can see, just losing the back end there completely. As you can see, we're losing half a second in the middle sector on there, so it was not really nothing to be concerned about at the minute. But it was very difficult in the middle sector to keep the tyres up to temperature and not slide the back end out, as Alonso still not got to the middle sector as of yet, or the game could not have picked up his time there, as he's crossed the line 24.4 seconds ahead of him. So we could maybe, I think he's holding up the pack of Hamilton and Rosberg, so seeing that I decided to pit now and see if we can actually take the lead of the race. It will be extremely close, this is, as we make our pit stop right now. Hopefully it'll be a decent stop from Force India. As you can see, we can't see the pack. There is Alonso and Hamilton, as they both get past Alonso and up to second and third respectively, as we make our pit stop, and it is a 2.4 as we go onto the prime tyres. At this point the rest of the guys are on the option tyre, so I may be a bit slow, as Rosberg sets a 40.5, but we will come out just ahead of both Mercedes as Rosberg passes Hamilton down the straight to take second place. But most importantly, we hold on to the lead of the Grand Prix, but we are on very cold tyres and a very poor tyre around here, as the option is dramatically quicker than the prime tyre. So I have to see how that goes throughout the remaining of the race, as obviously when Rosberg and Hamilton pits, they will go on to the primes on the last stint, or maybe on their next stint. But as you can see, the tyres are not up to temperature completely, and in these conditions you need the best tyre. As you can see, we go very wide there on cold tyres, and Rosberg takes the initiative and takes the lead of the race. So our moment of leading a race properly is over already. As you can see, still the tyres aren't up to temperature. We're making a load of mistakes now, as Hamilton is all over the back of us, as Rosberg, as you can see, is starting to pull away already, which is obviously not good for Hamilton, but it's good for us in a way because we can maintain second place in this race. But I would like a win, but obviously going on to the primes wasn't really the best option at this stage, but I like being on the option tyres for the last stint of a race, so I can really push throughout the last few stints there. Making a bit of a mistake there as Hamilton looks to go around the outside of us into this corner, but I decide back out of it, lose exit speed, which gives Hamilton the DRS, and he's already on the back of us already. He's going to now look around the outside of us into the final corner, as we, no point in battling Hamilton, we're going to back off, and he goes wide, so we're going to try and take that position, but Hamilton's got a better exit than us, and moves up to second place, as we get the DRS, as Rosberg now into the 39s, as obviously our lap was a 2 minutes free, as it was our out lap. But very disappointing, it looked like to make a move on Hamilton to make maybe a dive bomb, but it was too risky, so I back out of it completely and just wait for the next time with DRS if we can stay in that second range on Lewis. But as you can see with the options, better exit traction there, but we're staying in the slipstream of Hamilton there, as our tyres are slowly getting into the optimal groove. So obviously as the leaders' tyres will start to go off very shortly as we go on to that 15, as Hamilton and Rosberg have pitted from the second stint on the option tyres. I believe they are on another set of options, as we are still on these prime tyre with Ricciardo in second and Rosberg in third, who's just coming up to the double right-handed now. So obviously these primes are not really nice at this point. That's why I'll put them on, just to get them out of the way, as we will make our pit stop now, knowing that the tyres on the options can last around 7 to 8 laps. We can be comfortably safe on going on to 2 sets of options for the end of the race, which will make us dramatically quicker in the later stages, as these guys will most likely be pitting in the next few laps for their final stop onto the primes. As you can see, Ricciardo, Rosberg and Hamilton and co will go through, so we'll lose quite a few spots here as we get a 2.3 stop from the Force India guys. That's fantastic, but the question is, are we going to get in front of Kimi Raikkonen? It's going to be close, as he's just coming up towards the pit exit now, and he will take 4th place from us. So it's not too bad, but we're still ahead of Valtteri Bottas as well, which I was mainly concerned about if we're going to get ahead of him. But I know now that the last 2 stints will be on the faster tyre, which is obviously the option tyres, as these guys will most likely be pitting in a few laps time for the primes. But we'll have to wait and see on there. But Hamilton and Rosberg will have a massive gap over us, so we'll have a lot of work to do. We're going to try and even get a podium position, which will be very nice, as I think Raikkonen is technically in a net 3rd place with Ricciardo still to pit, I believe. But we're going to move on to lap 22. As you can see, Rosberg and Hamilton have pitted again for their final stops onto the prime tyres, as we are comfortably got a nice gap to Rosberg of around about 10, nearly 11 seconds, and it is around about a 20-second pit stop round here, so I'll obviously lose the lead of the race, but obviously maybe have a chance of getting the win if we really push on the option tyres for the final time. As we're still in the 140s, not the quickest I've been on race pace, but I was trying to maintain a decent amount of pace, staying in the 140s as we'll dive into the pits for the final time on there. So Rosberg will take back the lead of the race, but we've not seen Hamilton yet on that map, and there he is. I think that's Ricciardo as well behind, so we will maybe get just out behind Lewis Hamilton here, which will give us a good shot of 2nd place in this race. As another 2.4 stop from the Force India guys, another good stop. As we see a back marker there letting through Lewis, and the question is, are we going to get out of Kimi Raikkonen? And the answer is yes. So there he is, just coming into our proximity map there. So we're getting quite a bit there on Kimi Raikkonen. Obviously with their tyres needing to warm up more, and us on the option tyres, we gained quite a few seconds on him. As we're going to move now on to that 25, and as you can see, we set the new fastest lap of the race at 39.7, as we're only a second behind Lewis Hamilton here. As you can just see the grip we've got compared to Lewis. Easier on the traction as well on exit with the grip we've got, and we're already into that DRS range already on him. So I was thinking here we could definitely get 2nd place. 3rd is on the cards. The podium position is definitely on here, and it would be a great comeback from the poor result we had in the last round at Australia, and will give us a good momentum boost going into the next round in China, which obviously is going to be a very tricky one with the layout not particularly our liking. Obviously with the double straights there, we'll have to wait and see. But we're going on lap 26 now, and as you can see we're still around about that second range on Lewis on there. So we're up in the first sector by 71,000 per second there, as Hamilton has a poor exit there, and we're right on the back of him now, as it's only a matter of time realistically that we will get past him. But it's not over really, because our tyres will be going dramatically off the cliff than Hamilton's primes are. So I had to be very, very careful here, especially with dirty air behind that Mercedes. It's going to be very tricky indeed. But there is Rosberg there, just going round to start the final sector. So we're not that far off actually off Rosberg, but I feel with only 2.5 laps to go, it's not really realistic going to win the race on there. So my objective at the minute was to stay behind Lewis until the DRS range, and maybe attempt to pass him before the final corner, or maybe just get him on the main straight. We'll have to see as we now come into that final couple of corners now of lap 26, and we need to get a nice exit there, a bit of oversteer as we get the DRS, and we're going to be now staying in the slipstream to gain even more speed on Lewis and maybe make the move stick into the next corner, as we brake extremely late there than I normally do. Pushing's a bit wide there, but we're going to get a nice exit, go up to Rich and into the DRS again, and this could be our best chance here. As we're going to see now, we're going to make the move now on Hamilton. We've got a lot of speed now. Down the inside we're going to go. We're side by side with Lewis going into turn 1. We're going to make the move stick, and Hamilton on his prime tyres have no grip around the outside, and we will make the move on him and move up to second place with only 2 laps to go of the race, which I was very happy with on there, and we will hope to maintain the gap to Lewis or even extend it with 1.5 laps to go. But we're going to go on to the final lap now. As you can see, we're already 1.5 seconds up on Hamilton and only 8 seconds on Rosberg. So if we only had a couple more laps, 3 or 4 laps, we would have made the move on Rosberg maybe and take the win. But it is most likely we will finish second in this race and pull off a fantastic job as we make a bit of a moment there on the exit, and Hamilton has a chance now to regain second place on there. So I was very nervous going into this final corner if he was going to make a move, but Hamilton is not matching us in speed, as Rosberg will take the victory here. But we will come out the final corner and pull off a fantastic second place, our first podium of the season, and a great comeback from Australia in the last round, and just hold off Lewis there with our very worn tyres. But that has been the second round of the Perez career mode, and nice to see that we're doing very well indeed. Next round is China, another track that I don't like on this game, so hopefully I can bounce, do some bits of practice and get ready for that one for you guys. And if this video gets 100 likes, I will release the next episode straight away for you guys. I've got it already scheduled, uploaded, so whenever we hit 100, before I scheduled it originally, I will post it up there. You'll see the driver standings as well on there, and we'll do very realistically well here. So we'll have to wait and see on there. As you can see, someone must have made 4 stops there. Alonso made 2 risky 2-stop strategy there, and also Ricciardo and Kvyat, I have to mention as well, give them praise as well on there. So I'm going to end it there, guys. Thank you very much for watching this episode of the Perez Career Mode. Make sure to like and subscribe for more F1 content. Until next time, guys, have a fantastic day wherever you're doing, and I shall see you very soon for another video on this channel. Until then, have a good day, good day, guys, and see you later. Take care.